Hello, I'm Michael Littlecrow. I'm Turtle Mountain Chippewa on my mother's side and Saxon, Welsh, and Irish on my father's side. I'd like to speak today about a research project I've been doing for many years, action research in the classroom, using oral traditions. So I call it learning in the dream world because oftentimes I would learn in the middle of the night from a dream that I had because I had engaged with the content I was learning, specifically mathematics. I learned most of my mathematics at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. And I'd like to bring that into my teaching practice with helping students understand how oral traditions, how when you work from the oral side of learning, it is different than reading a book, reading symbols and the abstractions that occur from that perspective. So where I start off with is from a poem that has guided me throughout my teaching profession, 26 years. Uh, this is the poem. It's from Khalil Gibran. It's actually part of a much larger poem of both the Prophet. But when asked about teaching, this Prophet was leaving, and the people were asking about various uh, professions. And this is talk to us about teaching. That's what he had to say. No man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and his lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather lead you to the threshold of your own mind. Powerful stuff. Notice half asleep. That's where our learning occurs. When we learned our first language, we did not have, well, I guess we had teachers, but we did not call them such. We were our own teacher. We listened, we observed, and as little babies, generally within that first year, we started talking. I took a little bit longer because anyway, that's what I was told. Um, I wanted to really speak, and I guess when I first started talking, I could put a few words together pretty quickly. Um, but we learned that way from observing around us. We learn from our dreams. And the teacher who is wise helps take us to that place where we can become our greatest teacher. And that is my research. As I've had some success with this, um, not really knowing how I do it, just doing it. And so along those lines, I received a notice, just actually timing was pretty good, just recently, from two students at ASU. The students can give Professor of Impact Awards. And this is what I've uh, blocked out their names just to keep their anonymity, but it's actually a married couple that I've had both of them in my classes at separate times. But this is what they had to say that they found. Well, first I'll go what they had to say. This is they told me that you didn't just teach us math. You nourished our spirits and encouraged our growth in ways that stay with us forever. Your passion for teaching and genuine care for your students made a lasting impression. And that genuine care, it is true. I do care for what I do and the students I work with. So they sort of give me some background. This is my research that by being a good mentor in the native ways, I try to be like an older brother. Um, as I get older, I guess I'm more like a grandfather, but to have that family relationship in connecting and inspiring, to spend my time that they need. If they need some extra time, you give it. What is extra time anyway, right? Every time is the right amount of time to make that positive impact that they can find that place of learning within themselves, being flexible with them. So these are things I do intentionally. Uh, Treating students with respect. They are not my students, they are their own learners, right? Uh, I am just, more importantly, I belong to them as a teacher. Uh, my responsibility is greater towards them. They are not mine to control and to give permission to do this or that. My job is to help them find that way. They have to choose it themselves. And that's how we motivate them to overcome these challenges, is giving them the right to make those choices. And so my research project, and I'll just make a comment on this. When I went through my doctoral program, using something like this as data was, well, actually, I was chastised about. I had during my project, it was a classroom activity. And during that activity, I was contacted to be evaluated because I'm an adjunct professor at that college, so I have to be reviewed every semester. And I used some of the words from that review, from that observer, in my project. And they said, the professor says, you shouldn't have used that. That wasn't part of your plan. So you didn't make a plan for it, and so therefore it's not worthwhile data, I guess. Um, and yet, how could I have planned? The evaluator was supposed to evaluate me on a different day. They had to change. They were there. Why not use the data? Same as this. So here's my project, and I'll let you all go. During the fall, I started the project. I was an in-person tutor at the Phoenix Indian Center. They had a teacher lined up for a course that was going to be online or in person. It turned out that teacher had to leave, and so it was an online course that the students weren't expecting, and they wanted something. They had been promised someone in person. So uh, I was contacted, and I stepped up and said, I'll do it. Uh, I also served as a virtual tutor for some of the students down in Tucson, because I live up in Phoenix. Uh, and I also assisted as called to with their curriculum development, and became sort of part of their teaching team. They invited me to teach a class of college algebra in the Phoenix Indian Center in the spring. So this is my way of working with the community, to come forward and let them invite me. Uh, so this is a part of the community-based participatory research. It's not that the researcher comes and say, hey, I have this project, let me do this, Um, let them come with the needs. And they did. And I said, well, I can find time in my schedule. Uh, I already have other work I'm doing, but this is valuable work. So I will come in. And part of the request has been to help developing the curriculum, the resources. Uh, what I will add to this is field testing a newer calculator that is available free as a download for students. It's called NumWorks. I've started using it with some of my other students, but I will use it with the entire class. And the questions I have is, I know I do these things at some level. How can I do them better? But exactly how do I do these things so I can maybe share them with others who are other teachers who are also interested in doing this. I don't plan to publish and tell everybody how they should teach, but if someone asks me, um, how do I connect relationally with each student? I have some ideas, but let me try to get them out. How do I create a realistic virtual environment? As I have gotten feedback that students feel like what I'm doing brings a virtual world more realistic to them. Um, so how do I do that? And how can I be more intentional, and how can I do it to a greater degree? And then how do I inspire students beyond the course? Because that is always my goal. We take a course, we take a test, we get a grade. That's not the end of it. What we learn during that course should empower our lives to go forward. That's what it did for me in my education. Mathematics wasn't so much about how I used it, but it was about how it helped me organize my thoughts and my problem solving. Um, and so that's what I hope to find out. I will find out as I continue with this um, particular research project with the Tohono O'odham Community College. thank you for listening. I look forward to any feedback you're able to provide.